May I now request Srimati Vrinda Manohar Desai Ma'am, Joint Secretary Films, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, to please join us on stage to felicitate our celebrated speakers. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us with the felicitation. And now over to Mr. Gautam Vasudev Menon with a gracious request to commence the conversation.
Good evening, sir. There's this beautiful thought about poetry in the film Dead Poets Society, directed by Peter Weir and starring Robin Williams, which is the most favorite film of mine, after a film called Nayagan, which this man sitting next to me, and is the reason why I'm sitting here today on his left. The thought about poetry in Dead Poets Society is a quote, of course, but I'm going to say it here and I'm going to replace the word poetry with films because it'll make sense and will resonate across why and where we are today. This is how it goes. We don't make films, we don't watch films because it's cute. We make and watch films because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. Engineering, medicine, business, law, these are noble pursuits and very necessary to sustain life. But films, love, romance, this is what we stay alive for. Films are what we stay alive for. And I felt that every time going into a Mani Ratnam film. Knowing Mani sir and his sense of humor, I'm sure he'd ask me, how did you feel coming out of the film? But that's the thing, sir, I've never come out of a Mani Ratnam film till the next one releases. Till the next one releases, and this is not sycophancy, this is not flattery. I'm not looking to get anything from Mani sir other than some more knowledge about filmmaking and to feel alive walking into a film. But that brings me to my first question, sir. I know films is what keeps us alive. I know you felt that in your prolific career so far, but my question is, do you still feel the same?
Yeah, I feel like a beginner, an absolute beginner. It doesn't change. When I did my first film, I thought one film I'll learn everything and then I'll be a master. It's never there at all. It's still a first film every time. And you go into a shoot not knowing how to shoot, but wanting to do something and searching for it.
So you always said making films is about sharing for you. It's not about delivering a message or suggesting a change. What makes something share-worthy for you, sir?
I think it could be anything. You know, it's like sharing something that bothers you, sharing something that brings joy to you, sharing something that you think is truth, is there in everybody, and you know, if there's some form in which that can come out, then it's sharing or it's reflection. You know, I mean, it is, you are able to identify with something, and that is what you want to put on the screen.
And when there are so many literary masterpieces out there, why do some stories speak more to you than the others, sir?
Well, the other literary masterpieces have not yet been made into films. If they are made, I'm sure that they will be, if that could be, you know, even remarkable ones.
So is it all guts or is it passion? So you decide to make Ponniyin Selvan read and loved by millions of readers who thronged to the theatres to watch the film, and a whole sort of new audience that went to see what the fuss was all about. Was there ever any fear that this would turn out to be a damp squib? That, it's almost historical characters from the past, might not live up to the scale of certain other films that are in the same genre. Was there ever any fear, or did you just let that go by the wayside and just jump into it, sir?
No, I trusted Kalki, the author, and it's been a classic. It's been the best-selling book from 1950, and it's something that I read when I was finishing school, and it's been it has everything that is calling to be made into a film. It has the scale, it has the intrigue, it has a period, it has horses, it has adventure, it has characters which are brilliant. So it is always there, asking to be made into a film. Only I didn't know whether I could, but I realized that I wanted to, and that is all. So it is not, no, I was not afraid. I was afraid of how I would be able to do it, but the only way it can go is, with a film like that, with a story like that, every person who's read it, and there's millions of people who've read it in Tamil, and they all are absolute experts in it. Each one have their own vision of how each character should be, and so I was battling with not just a book, 5-volume book, but also the perception of so many readers who are passionate about it. But the only guiding factor that I had was that I was also one of the passionate readers, and I will go with what I felt that can be put on screen.
So when you read Ponniyin Selvan for the first time, and then the many versions later, the abridged versions, the translated versions, when you heard somebody narrating the story, did the visual imagery sort of come alive? So did the shots speak to you? I'm also asking you this because I've read that Charles Dickens, who died 25 years before motion pictures were invented, is credited with inventing the parallel montage, the intercutting between two stories in his writing, and is also said to be the inspiration behind the track-in and zoom-in technique of filming through his writing. So did the writing sort of speak to you? Did the material sort of inspire you? Did the visual imagery come up then itself, or was it a process that evolved, sir?
No, I think the visual imagery must have come across to everyone who's read the book. He's such a visual writer, and he's got a fantastic way of telling a story. It's almost intimate. It's a huge thing, but it looks like as though he's talking only to you. And his description of that period is quite elaborate, quite amazing. And only when I started doing research for the film, I realized that there's so much of accuracy in what he has done at that point of time, where the research was not as much as it is now, research material. So I think he is very graphic in his in his imagination, in his description. There's some pieces which I could not capture at all. They were still vivid in my mind from what I've read and always wanted to see, but it couldn't be fitted in. So he was the master.
So since you said that, I know you've left some chunks out from the story when you made the film. Revisiting the film or looking at the final cut, or even now as we're speaking about it, are there any moments that you felt you could have retained in the film from the story?
No, that's the thing with from literature to film. There are so many pieces in the book which are brilliant. Each chapter is brilliant, can be made into an individual. If you're doing a long format thing, it can be done tremendously, and some of them are visually brilliant. But when you look at a film and you look at trying to bring the essence of it within a certain amount of time, within one unit, I think film is seen as one flow, whereas books can be read over several periods of time. So it was important to make sure that we bring it together cogently. That was more important, and not just go only for the peaks of visual beauty.
Early readings, sir, what are the kind of books that